Ever since Amtrak purchased locomotives on its fleet, it soon became a new era for Amtrak, with new equipment being used for the first time. Over the years, Amtrak has acquired new locomotives to improve its reliability and new technologies. Recently, Amtrak has unveiled a new locomotive that will hold the future for Amtrak, making it a golden era. Today, for my series of train locomotives, we will be talking about the Siemens Charger. Chapter 1. History. The story doesn't begin with the Chargers. However, it begins with the ACS-64s. Amtrak's Northeast Corridor needed a new locomotive in the late 2000s as the AEM-7 locomotives were nearing the end of their useful service run. At the time, most of the train manufacturers were building freight locomotives instead of passenger ones, so Amtrak turned to Europe to rely on the Eurosprinter and Vectron platforms as they were used to design the ACS-64s. These platforms had huge success in Europe with making lots of these locomotives. In October 2010, Amtrak ordered 70 locomotives at a cost of $466 million to be delivered beginning in February of 2013. These locomotives were new city sprinter locomotives. Instead of these locomotives being in a Europe version, they are an American version to show that they were nearly identical to the Europe Electrics. Throughout the next few years, Siemens started making more of these locomotives in 2013 and were eventually revealed a year after they entered service. The ACS-64s were soon to be considered reliable as they were a new generation for Amtrak with a modern touch. During the time that the ACS-64s were proven reliable, other rail operators were looking for higher speed locomotives but needed to be diesel powered. Siemens just so happened to plan out a diesel variant of their Vectron locomotive. This new variant started the Siemens Charger. Some of its specs would have a top speed of 125 miles per hour, 4,000 horsepower, and a Cummins QSK-95 turbo diesel V16 that would meet the EPA's strict Tier 4 emission standards. From the look of this new locomotive, Siemens was going to make one of the most reliable locomotives in North America. On March 26, 2016, the first variant of the Siemens Charger was revealed, this being the SC-44. The first two Charger locomotives to leave the Siemens factory in Florence, California, were transported to the Transportation Technology Center in Pueblo, Colorado in June of 2016 and underwent testing to test its acceleration and braking. Siemens then started to produce other variants of the Charger locomotives. Let's take a look at them. Chapter 2. SC-44 Chargers. The Siemens SC-44 is the original Charger locomotive to be built on the Charger platform. The SC-44 Charger locomotive is classified as a Siemens Charger and it has 4,400 horsepower. The Illinois Department of Transportation, in conjunction with its counterparts in California, Michigan, Missouri, and Washington, purchased 32 SC-44 locomotives for state-supported corridor services operated by Amtrak under contract. The $225 million order placed in March of 2014 included options for an additional 75 corridor-configured locomotives. In 2015, IDOT ordered 12 additional units for use on the upgraded Lincoln Service Corridor. California ordered 14 additional units in November 2015 for use on the Pacific Surfliner beginning in 2018, plus 2 more units in 2016 for the Northern California services. Washington State ordered an additional unit to replace the one lost in the 2017 point-defined bypass derailment. A total number of 64 locomotives were ordered for Amtrak state corridors in this contract. 22 for California, 9 for Washington State, and 33 for the Midwest states. Another 8 options were used by MARC, bringing total contract orders to 72. Let's take a look at the other Chargers. Chapter 3. Brightline's Chargers. Florida's privately funded railroad, Brightline, ordered their own variant of Chargers right around the time the SC-44s were being built. In September 2014, Brightline purchased 10 SCB-40 locomotives with options for an additional 11. The locomotives are used in pairs, bucketing 4 passenger cars on Brightline's Miami to West Palm Beach service. Brightline's SCB-40s are classified as Siemens Charger Brightline and have 4,000 horsepower. The SCB-40s have a streamlined front end that is hidden from the front coupler behind a removable nose cone and produce a maximum of 4,000 horsepower instead of the 4,400 horsepower on the SC-44. Brightline later ordered 5 additional train sets and 1 extra locomotive for a total of 11 locomotives for use on the extension to Orlando, with delivery between September 2021 and 2023. Let's continue to see more of these chargers, but in a different region of the country. Chapter 4. Coasters Chargers. In June 2018, the North County Transit District Board of Directors approved the purchase of 5 SC-44s for its San Diego area coaster commuter service, replacing 5 older F40PH locomotives. Deliveries began in August 2020 and are expected to finish in the spring of 2021. 2 additional units were approved in June 2019 and another 2 in September. These additional locomotives will replace 2 existing F59PHI locomotives and allow increased service levels. The first 5 locomotives entered revenue service on February 8, 2021. Chapter 5. MARC's Chargers. MARC announced in August 2015 that it was seeking $58 million to purchase 8 locomotives to replace their aging electric-powered AEM-7 units, with deliveries planned for late 2017. The purchase was approved by the Maryland Board of Public Works on September 16, 2015. The MARC order uses part of the Amtrak Stay Quarter options. The first MARC charger was shipped from the Siemens factory in early December 2017 and began testing in mid-January 2018. These chargers have now been operating in the state of Maryland and doing its best. Chapter 6. Metro-North's Chargers. In December 2020, New York's MTA approved a Federal Transit Administration funded $335 million contract for 27 dual-mode locomotives based on the charger design. The new locomotives will replace the 27 existing GE Genesis locomotives used on the Metro-North's Hudson Line, Harlem Line, and Danbury branch, in which they will use third-rail electric power to enter Grand Central Terminal. The first 19 locomotives are scheduled to be completed in mid-2026. The contract has options for 144 additional locomotives, 32 for Metro-North, 66 for the Long Island Railroad, 20 for the New York State Department of Transportation, and 25 for the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Chapter 7. ViaRail's Chargers. In December 2018, ViaRail ordered 32 bidirectional train sets, each powered by 1 SC-44 locomotive, for use on the Quebec City to Windsor corridor. The first of ViaRail's train sets were delivered on September 29, 2021, to ViaRail in Montreal, crossing into Canada via Sarnia, Ontario. When the locomotive's final paint scheme was unveiled by ViaRail in May 2021, the locomotive was designated as an SC-44, but when delivered, the locomotive's designation had been changed to SCV-42. Chapter 8. ALC-42 Chargers. On December 21, 2018, Amtrak ordered 75 ALC-42 locomotives with options for additional 100. The first locomotive was expected to enter service in 2021, with the last by 2024. Compared with the SC-44, changes were made to the ALC-42 to make it more suitable for long-distance service. Additional PTC systems for nationwide service, a larger 2,200-gallon diesel fuel tank, and other specifications that make it suitable for the ALC-42s. Production of the first ALC-42 began in March of 2020. On August 5, 2020, Amtrak announced that one of the first 6 locomotives will be painted in a replica of the Day 1 livery to commemorate 50 years of Amtrak service, while the other 5 will feature a brand new Phase 6 paint scheme. The remainder of the fleet will introduce a new Phase 7 livery. By February 2021, 12 units had began production, with the first locomotive, Amtrak 300, delivered to Amtrak on June 17th. The first ALC-42 locomotives entered revenue service on the Empire Builder on February 8, 2022. On the same day, Amtrak announced that they had ordered an additional 50 ALC-42s, bringing the total number of locomotives ordered to 125. Now today, ALC-42s have been put out on Amtrak's routes in the Midwestern part of the country and will gradually receive more ALC-42s in the Northeast. Chapter 9. Conclusion. The variants of the Siemens charger will be considered a golden era for Amtrak. The future is bright for Siemens as they make quality locomotives in a timely manner. These locomotives were made to make Amtrak an important part for these chargers to have widely used across its system. As I have said in the past, Amtrak has the funding to improve its infrastructure, but instead they use their time to produce new locomotives to hold the future for passenger rail locomotives. With that said, thanks for watching.